Hello, everybody. This is Gerald Salenti, and it's Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. And once again, we have with us a man of men, a true American who lives in the spirit of the founding fathers and knows the Constitution and the Bill of Rights like nobody else. And if you could show me anybody else, let me see them, because it's certainly not the unsupreme court. It's not all the little morons and jerks in Congress. No, they don't know, as we would say in the Bronx, dick about shit. We have with us Judge Andrew Napolitano, a man that really supports the Constitution, writes about it, and wants to bring it back, as well as the Bill of Rights that have been robbed from us. Judge, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Gerald, my dear friend. Always a pleasure.
And, you know, you have an article when we're talking about the Constitution, the lack of freedom, and it's FBI visits Scott Ritter. And of course, Scott Ritter's a friend of ours. We have dinner together. He'll be a speaker as well as you at the upcoming Peace and Freedom Rally in Kingston, New York on September 28th. And Scott's been here before. And he is a man of peace. He's anti-war. And if you haven't been on the other side like he's been on, then you really don't know anything. And this guy was a top Marine. And he talks to us when we're out. You know, he believed in, you know, we're going to kill everybody anywhere, anytime. And then he saw the horror of it, and he became a different man. He became a man of peace, and he was a UN weapons inspector. And he was the guy that said, no, there are no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Is there the video clip of Biden making fun of him for saying that? And now he's been, the FBI broke into his home.
So the FBI got a search warrant which authorized them to seize electronic devices, of which there were three: his mobile device, his desktop, and his wife's desktop. They showed up with 40 armed agents, a SWAT team, a bomb squad, and several trucks. And they proceeded to fill these trucks with everything they could find in the house, including notes from his years as chief UN weapons inspector, which goes back to the year 2000, a draft of a book that he's writing, gifts that his wife received, he received, his children received. It was reprehensible what they took from him. When he asked for a receipt, they would only give him a receipt for the three electronic devices, because that's all they were authorized to take. When they sat down to speak with him, two of them spoke with him while 38 were rummaging through the house. The two showed him, that were speaking to him, showed him printouts of every text and email he had sent or received in the last 2 years, which they obtained without a warrant. Now, how did they get that? They either hacked into his computer, which is a crime for which they investigate and prosecute people, or they used their cousins in the federal government, the CIA and the NSA, to do the same thing, which is also a crime. Is this distressing? It's very distressing. Is it surprising? It's not surprising at all. Welcome to law enforcement in the United States of America, circa 2024.
It's not the United States of America. It's the United Soviet States of America, USSA. And what you just told me, what you just said about how many bomb squad, trucks, this is like you would see in the Soviet Union. Going after one guy for what? Did he threaten anybody's life? Did he kill anybody? Did he commit a crime? By the way, you know, these are the same guys. What happened in that school in Texas where the cops hung out there as the guy was little kids killing everybody? Oh, yeah, but they come in with a bomb squad and how many trucks and everything to go after one guy for nothing?
Well, they didn't arrest him because they didn't have any reason to. They suspect that he violated FARA, the Foreign Agent Registration Act, which means they would have to prove that a foreign government controlled him, exercised some means of control. Does he write for foreign publications? Yes, he does. Is he compensated for those foreign publications? From time to time, he is. That's not making him a foreign agent. So when he asked them for the search warrant, they showed it to him, and they had words with each other about why they were taking more than what was stated in the search warrant. And then he said, let me see the affidavits that were submitted to the federal judge in order to induce the judge to sign the search warrant. And the FBI agent said, the judge has sealed them. We don't have copies here. And even if we did, we couldn't share them with you. He said that the agents on scene were pleasant and professional. His beef is not with them. His beef is with the people in the DOJ that dispatched this small army to his house.
A small army. You're right. Government spying is rampant in the United States. And everybody, I want to make this 100% clear. Go to Judging Freedom, the judge's YouTube channel and podcasts. The people he has on are sensational. Judging Freedom. And read his articles. This one's coming out tomorrow. Because, again, this isn't bullshit. Nobody writes what he writes, says what he says when it comes to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Government spying is rampant in the United States, and the feds regularly engage in it as part of law enforcement's well-known antipathy to the Fourth Amendment. Last week, the FBI admitted as much when it raided the home of former Chief UN Weapons Inspector Scott Ritter. Scott is a courageous and gifted former Marine. He is also a fierce and articulate anti-war warrior. An anti-war warrior. How dare you? How dare you be anti-war? You're not allowed on any of the media if you're anti-war. If you're pro-peace, you're banned. But day after day, they spew out the crap coming out of the mouth of that little clown boy, Lindsey Graham, who is so pro-war. Did you hear the latest with after the Ukrainians invaded into Russia?
No, from Graham, no. What did he say now?
Oh, he congratulated them. Great job. Keep it going. But you call for peace, you got the FBI, the NSA, the CIA, and the government after you.
You know, the government fears and hates Scott for two reasons. One, he used to be one of theirs, as you pointed out. Here is a Marine who fought in Afghanistan, literally saw a battle. He was on the staff of General Schwarzkopf. That's actually pre-Afghanistan. That's the George H.W. Bush invasion of Iraq to get them out of Kuwait. So he was involved in that. And then he had a 180-degree transformation from physical warrior to anti-war warrior. So the government hates that because he knows all the government's secrets and tricks. The government also hates him because he is so articulate, and so knowledgeable. You and I, as you say, have had meals with him. We have also been at one of your other peace rallies where he spoke. You're a good speaker. I'm a good speaker. Scott is captivating because of his vast, vast knowledge of the history. And as I said, the tricks and shenanigans that the government pulls. They fear his articulation of the truth, and they want to silence him. The only way they can silence him is to put him in jail. They're not going to silence him by intimidating him. He can't be intimidated.
No. I'm blown away when we're out. You know what a brave guy this is, and as you say, how articulate he is. And just think about his family, what they must be going through. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, this woman's still married to him. You know, she must really love him. You know, I mean, really, I mean, the horror that for doing nothing. And you go on in your article, and again, you have to read what the judge writes because nobody else is doing this. You go fast forward to the weeks after 9/11, with no serious debate, Congress enacted the Patriot Act. It removed the wall between law enforcement and spying. And by 2001, the FISA court had, on its own, lowered the standard for issuing a search warrant from probable cause of speaking to a foreign agent to probable cause of speaking to a foreign person. This, too, was unlawful and unconstitutional. I want to, just before you comment on that, Orwell could not have come up with a better name than the Patriot Act.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an anti-Patriot Act.
It is. It is. It is the most unpatriotic piece of legislation that Congress has ever enacted since the Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798, which made it a crime to criticize the government. Patriot is an acronym, and I forget what it stands for, but you're right. It is a brilliant play on words that they call it, the Patriot Act. It authorizes one FBI agent to authorize another FBI agent to engage in a search of records. So it bypasses the Fourth Amendment requirement of going to a judge. It's been held unconstitutional 5 times by federal district court judges, but the government has not appealed those findings because they don't want the case to get to the Supreme Court for fear that the Supreme Court will invalidate the entire statute. But it and the way FISA operates today has resulted in the NSA capturing every keystroke on every mobile device and every desktop in America without warrants. That may be how they got, how the FBI got Ritter's emails and texts. I say maybe because the NSA is very reluctant to share with the FBI because they don't want to acknowledge publicly that they are hacking into everybody's computers. And when they do the hacking, they don't view it in real time. It's too much data. They store it in the largest building in the world, which is their storage facility in Utah.
Yeah.
5 times the size of the Pentagon. And it's just filled with computer data, which is every communication, every piece of data that goes across fiber optic cables in the United States of America since they started all this stuff in your favorite modern president, George W. Bush administration.
Can you imagine this? George W. Bush, a little boy of nothing, and all the horror that this guy has committed.
Yes.
And they go after Scott Ritter.
Right.
Yeah. How many people did he slaughter? Oh, over 1 million in Iraq.
Yes.
Several 100,000 in Afghanistan.
Yes. Yes.
And
$4 trillion in wasted money, destroyed lives and property.
Yeah. And how about all the money we spent for all these, the national NSA, National Shit Association?
Oh. Well, the NSA and the CIA's budget is secret, even though the Constitution says no money shall be spent from the federal treasury except that which is authorized by the Congress and recorded in a public ledger. You try and find how much the NSA and the CIA spent. It's not recorded in any public ledger.
Everybody listening, you hear what the judge is saying? With the information that he's putting out, nobody talks about. Nobody, anywhere, any place. Again, go to Judging Freedom. And you're going to have Colonel Douglas McGregor on today. And
Phil Giraldi today as well. McGregor at 2, Giraldi at 3.
And two real men. Both again.
Giraldi was thrown out of the Oval Office, not physically thrown out, but asked to leave when he told George W. Bush that Saddam Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction. And when they threw him out and Bush went on national television and lied, Giraldi resigned after 41 years in the CIA.
Yeah, a top CIA guy.
Very top.
Yep. And he's a great man. I love being with him. And again, there's if you're for peace, you're condemned. And again, look what's going on with this this genocide being committed. Did you hear the latest? The United States is going to be sending another $20 billion worth of weapons to Israel to keep slaughtering the Palestinians.
The United States is going to allow Israel to buy another $1 billion worth of equipment over the next 5 years. But at the same time, they said that last week, in one weekend, they released $3.5 billion in equipment.
Yeah,
I mean, that's enough to fill an aircraft carrier. $3.5 billion in equipment.
Yeah, equipment, weapons to murder innocent people.
Correct. Weapons to murder innocent people. Their head of their national security police force, like the head of their FBI, this right-wing fanatic Itamar Ben-Gvir, yesterday led 1,000 Zionists raiding the Al-Aqsa Mosque, a place dedicated under Israeli law for the use of Islamic worship only. Hamas has decided it's not going to participate in the negotiations anymore because every time they agree to what Netanyahu wants, he ups the ante. And then, of course, he infamously murdered the chief negotiator.
Yeah.
So I don't know where it's going to go. And Joe Biden said on NBC News, the United States is not at war. I mean, thank God. Democrats, thank God for them. He's not running for re-election because his mind is getting worse and worse. The troops are in Yemen and Syria as a tripwire. Troops are in Israel. This invasion of Russia by Ukraine was planned by NATO for months, participated in by Polish troops, Estonian troops, Romanian troops, German troops, French troops, British troops. Russian surveillance reports that it has detected English-speaking voices with American accents from among those who were later killed by the Russian troops. Did the United States invade Russia? Yes.
Yeah.
What is Russia going to do about it? Under international law, the U.S. is now fair game.
Again, that's why we need peace, and we're doing everything we can to try to make that happen. And so remember, we're having a Peace and Freedom rally on September 28th, Kingston, New York, on the Four Corners of Freedom, John and Crown Street, starting at 3 p.m. Judge Andrew Napolitano, Scott Ritter, Max Blumenthal, Anya Parampil, and others will be here. And if we don't unite for peace, we're going to die in war. And Judge, with the information that you're putting out, again, you know, nobody's saying it and putting it together like you are, and the people that you have on really know the facts and information that the people have to know about. But of course, you know, they were mostly concerned about the Olympics. You know, who cares about what's really going on about this stuff here? You know, it's so sad to see the decline of the society in front of our eyes, and the lack of, again, where are all the religions, as I keep saying? What are the Seventh-day Adventists waiting for the eighth day? Where all the Quakers died in an earthquake? Yeah, I know another group, I don't want to mention their name, you know, they claim to be peace advocates, a religion. Not a word from them. I asked them to support us, don't get back at all. None of the religions are out there. They should all, every priest, every monk, every from name the religion, they should all be out there for peace if they claim to believe in their God. Because
none of them is. None of them is.
Yep.
There was a time when even in the Catholic Church, there were guys like the Berrigan brothers, two Jesuits, both of them went to jail for anti-war activity, but their sermons were fabulous. You don't even have that anymore.
No. No. So we're doing what we can. You know, all these people that believe in God, you know, what God you believe in? No God believes in this mass murder and annihilation of people. How about thou shalt not kill? You forgot that one? You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Judge, thank you for all that you're doing. Oh, and by the way, we're still staying with our forecast. Again, I don't like either of them. I'm a political atheist, don't believe in the system at all. Can't stand either of them. And so people hate me because I say this. Looks like Harris is going to win big time. Minus if the economy crashes or a market crash, then it's going to be Trump. Minus a wild card, as our Cover of the Trends Journal shows, it's going to be Biden. Biden. It's the Obama administration 2.0.
Right.
It's the same team. Same team of criminals.
Right. Well, Trump is not doing himself any good with his public meltdowns.
No.
In fact, he's hurting himself and attacking her race is just insane. I don't know who's advising him to do that. Probably nobody. He's probably doing it on his own. He does have professional advisors, but he doesn't listen to them.
No. Well, you know that. He only listens to himself.
Yeah. And RFK Jr., talk about a meltdown. A judge very close to where you are now just ruled that he doesn't live in New York.
Yeah, which he doesn't.
Therefore, committed perjury on his petitions. Now, he has stated he lives in New York. On all the other petitions throughout the country, if other judges follow suit, you wouldn't even be able to vote for Bobby, and it's all his own fault. Why didn't he just admit that he lives in Los Angeles, which is where he has a home with his wife? Instead, he rents a room in a person's home in Katona, I think it is, New York, and he hasn't slept there in God knows how long.
And of course, the day before they raided Scott Ritter's home, there's a picture of him and Bobby Kennedy, RFK Jr. rather, when he was up there in Albany trying to get on the ballot.
Yes. Having burgers together for lunch. Scott has been advising him. He doesn't listen to Scott. You have been with me when I have texted him about Gaza, and he explodes. But you and Gerald are driving me crazy. We're not driving you crazy. You're in favor of slaughter and genocide, Bobby. I love you, but you're in favor of genocide.
And that's when we both stopped supporting him.
Right.
Yep. Judge, we got to, people, everybody, please do what you can. In any way you can. Do something positive to change this negativity. It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men since Samuel Adams. And Judging Freedom is making that happen as well. Thanks for tuning in, being here, Judge, and don't forget to tune in to Judging Freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. All the best.